Howard, welcome to Cut on the Loose.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor having you. I was actually reading your book last night. I was really enjoying. Very powerful title, by the way.
Thank you.
Invincible.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to start by asking you that. How do we because I know not everybody feels invincible. I think some people feel invincible all the time. Some people feel invincible sometimes, such as myself, and a lot of people never feel invincible. How did you come up with the title, with the idea behind it?
Yeah. So the title I thought about for years, and it had to do after my first two books came out, and I went in the field and I did work with hundreds of people in all sorts of experiences, including athletes at the top level in the world. And I was blessed with the success that I had with individuals and with athletes in their performance. I thought, how do I put it in a step-by-step format for people so they can learn how to embrace that kind of state of mind in their life to begin to see the changes and the experiences real time? And where is this really going? And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, this is leading people, and certainly experience in my own life, to an invincible state of mind. When you have the awareness to understand that truly nothing is impossible in this world. There are a certain set of probabilities that unfold, but nothing is truly impossible. And the more we can keep our minds focused on that state, the greater the chances we have of creating what we want. And so I wanted to go big or go home in terms of the title. I didn't want to hold it back, because I really feel that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I personally love it. When I saw the book, I'm like, okay, that caught my attention, like how I want to feel invincible all the time. So I have like a million questions. I'm trying to put my thoughts. So let's start from the tough ones. For example, I know a lot of people, they would look at the book, they see our work online, right? So like you said, you work with top athletes, and we're going to get to that. But let's say somebody out there listening is going through a major problem, or they don't believe in themselves. Because I have a vibe, and you can tell me if you disagree, okay? A lot of people simply don't believe they can accomplish whatever goal it is that they want. They're just negative by nature. Do you agree with that? That it's just the mindset of some people? And do you think, if that's the case, can that be changed?
Well, there's no question there are millions that have a negative state of mind. Not any of it is their fault. It is the sequence of an identity that's been built through nurturing, upbringing, personal experiences, and even the genetic coding from generations before, and how they socialized and survived in their world. So there's no question people have a negative idea of themselves. And if they think they're incapable, and so it is, it will be. That is the idea. But the whole idea behind this work, and what I realized through my own awakening, was that can change at any single moment. It is the most exciting thing I ever experienced in my life, was to know that right in front of us is the ability to shift our perspective. That doesn't mean, Kat, that it won't take some work and a little uncomfortableness at first, and a lot of willpower. But if you're willing to do it, if you're willing to trust this incredibly magical and divine universe, you may be shocked at what happens. And so throughout the book, I encourage people to open their minds slowly at first, and then it really accelerates through the steps to really see the way they can live their life.
Yeah, I love it. But before I ask you the baby steps, how to do it and how to change the mindset, two things. First, you mentioned, yes, a lot of people are negative. It's not their fault. But I feel many times it's kind of like, I hear that over and over and over from listeners from my podcast. They send me messages from all over the world. Like you said, oh, I had a tough childhood. My husband left me. My husband's in jail. They use that, whatever happened to them, kind of like as an excuse or a clutch to whatever is happening in their life right now. And in my personal story, which you probably don't know, and that's a big part of my podcast, I was in a very abusive marriage. I don't come from a nice family to begin with. My parents supported me in anything I wanted to do. My mom was an alcoholic. She killed herself. I ended up marrying an alcoholic that abused the crap out of me for 15 years. And I literally lost everything once I left the marriage. I had to start my life over from zero.
Wow.
What helped me, and I say that, is because no matter what life threw at me, I was like, I'm going to swim. Like you said, my mindset is like, even if I die fighting without accomplishing anything, that's my choice. But I feel, even from my listeners, and maybe it's tough love, but again, if you don't agree with me, tell me the truth. I think people use their problems and their childhood as just clutches to complain about life, and they just sit there and do nothing about it.
Well, first of all, congratulations to you. You are an absolute inspiration. And thank you for sharing that with me, because you've changed my life in this moment. Because one more story of someone, and I've worked with hundreds of people, but to hear one more story of someone who overcame the impossible to demonstrate what is possible, I have great respect, gratitude, and love for that. So thank you very much, Kat, for every single ounce of your journey that got you to here. I thank you. Yes, many people, when they're on the precipice of change, the ego, which is designed to protect us from a change because it loves to live in the known, not the unknown, it will use every trick in the book and excuses of what's happened. And I have no lack of empathy for anybody who's gone through some horrible stuff.
Right.
But if they really want the change, they have to understand that no matter what's happened to them, it is the way that they're willing to self-reflect, perceive, and respond to their world in this moment that can change everything. And that new perception includes, hey, I know what happened to me and I know who I was and what I went through, but in front of me is a field of infinite possibility where anything can happen. I'm going to open my mind to those possibilities, as scary as that feels and as vulnerable as I feel doing that, and I'm going to trust it. And the point is, you can do that, or you can go back to the same way it's always been. So that's the sort of the question and the precipice that everybody sits on, is how badly do you want the change? There's a reason this information is coming into your ears right now. This is the divine universe responding to some prayer, some question, some asking, how can I change things? How can things be different? And this is a little bit of a nudge for you. So it is listening to you. Life is listening. It is trying to get you some new insight.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think you use a few very key words, and I hope people listening pay attention or rewind. For example, you mentioned you have to be willing to change your life and your mindset, right? I think that's a big part of it, because like you were saying, and I was saying, whatever it is that you're going through in life, you can sit there and complain and complain and complain, and even read your book or talk to an expert, listen to this podcast. And people ask me all the time, how did you do it? I think my first step is that I was completely willing to do whatever it took to get me out of that situation. Like, I don't want to end up homeless, So that pushed me. But how does someone out there listening, is there any like baby step or first step in terms of, because we talk like, I'm trying to explain my question. We say willing, and then people don't say, but what do you mean? What do I do? What do I do? I am willing, but what do you mean? Is there a practical step to actually be willing to changing your life for the better?
Yeah. And what's fascinating is that for the people who are hearing this right now, they've already taken that step. They have tuned into this podcast on insight and information that you've been given, or hundreds of podcasts you've done before. So they have been willing to open their mind to hear new information. So you are already in the process of receiving insight from life that is helping you to shift. Now, the next question is, what is an actionable step that I can take besides listening to this information? Well, the first step in the book, Invincible, is embracing and opening to this idea of your infinite potential, realizing that you live in an infinitely creative universe. And what I mean by that is, if we look up, the first night I ever looked upon the stars, Kat, my breath was taken away. I couldn't believe that canopy of infinite number of stars sits above us every night. And then as I've seen the images come back from the Hubble telescope, or even the new James T. Webb, that's bringing back these astonishing images, the farther it goes, the more creativity seems to go. And here we are as human beings in this universe. We are endowed with that same creative ability. That same infinite potential sits in front of us. So just believing that there are other possibilities is a first step. Now the work of self-reflection starts. So in order to change what you have been doing, you have to be willing to turn and face the way you have done it up until this point. How have you looked at situations? How have you reacted? And does that energy and emotion serve you in what you want to be? So the next time someone tries to trigger you or get you in a negative emotional state, are you going to take the bait and fall for it? Or are you going to say, this is not who I am anymore. That is not who I am anymore. I am a peaceful person. Are you going to remain more quiet? Are you going to remove yourself from the situation? Or are you going to refuse to allow your emotions to get triggered? These little teeny steps of this awareness of the new I am, the new definition of who you want to be, done over and over and over, seed the ground and put out a new energy into the world of who you are. And the magic of life is that it is trying to meet you with who you believe that you are, not what you want, not what you desire, but only your truth. And if you do the self-awareness truth where you see how you have been, what you want to leave behind, how you want to embrace a new, more loving, forgiving self, more worth, more belief in yourself, the universe then starts to meet you with new conditions. And it starts to match you, just like it matched you with the negative ones. If you have the courage and the will to step into a new sense of self, it will meet you with that. I have seen this hundreds of times, thousands of times, really.
I love that. And I think, at least for me, the key to all of this is you have to believe. Like you literally have to look in the mirror. And I know it sounds silly. It's easier said than done. But I think you need to look in the mirror and you need to believe in your potential because, again, a lot of people, they dream of a lot of things, right? Like, I want to be sure, right. I want to be in a perfect relationship, whatever it is that they dream of, but they don't really believe that they're capable of getting there. So it's almost like they give up on themselves, although that's something they want. But for me, if you don't truly believe with every fiber of your being, it's not going to happen.
Right, because the universe can only match what you build, the maximum of what you believe. In the book, I have a scale that shows, based on your level of belief in yourself, this circumference of possibility. So if you have a very small idea of who you are, you hate yourself, you don't like yourself, you don't think you're worthy, your field of possibilities is like tiny, like the size of a baseball or a ping pong ball. And yet if you believe in yourself and you say, you know what, I know I've been through a lot. I know I've done some things I don't want to repeat. I know I've had a negative mindset because of what I've gone through or because of what my mother or father did to me or et cetera. But I am going to flip the switch on how I look at who I am. And I'm going to say, none of that was truly my fault. I was doing the best I could with the awareness, the consciousness, and the knowledge that I had. I am now going to look out at the world and say, why not me? Why not? What do I have to lose to try this new attitude and to believe in myself? And then your belief in who you are, as it grows that circumference on the circle of possibility of life, because it's really an infinite, never-ending circle expansion. But it starts to expand, and life can now find a way to meet you with some experiences that match the new level of how you see yourself. So the book really focuses on how to increase that level of self-respect, self-honor, and self-love, which is the engine of your creative experience and the power of it.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I don't know how many times I can emphasize that. Self-love is the key to everything.
Everything.
I always, and I just talked about it on last week's episode, we were talking about eating disorders, but same thing. I thought, how many people look at themselves in the mirror, but do you really, really mean it when you say, I really love myself. I deserve better. I deserve this. I deserve that. I deserve it. You really have to do that. And it's a mental exercise, right, Howard? It's not like over.
Yeah. No, and you say a very important point. Is it authentic? That's the word I use. Is what you're saying authentic? Because otherwise there's no spiritual power in the words without it being authentic. It's sort of an empty spiritual behavior that leaves you wondering why your mantras didn't work. So I have an interesting way of helping someone bridge when they're trying to take on a new idea of themselves. So I don't like people saying, I am someone who I love who I am, or I am in love with who I am, if they don't believe it. So I add one word to it. to help them in the process. And the word is becoming. I am becoming more loving with myself. That you can believe. And that greases the wheel for you, because your ego is much more likely to accept that than it is I am loving with myself if you don't believe it. But I am becoming more loving. I am becoming more positive. I am becoming more trusting with life. Those are powerful statements, and life pays attention. And it's like, okay, let's give you some validation of that new idea. And then before you know it, it's like, it's like there's an old children's book called The Little Engine That Could, from years ago. And it was the story about this little locomotive engine that was trying to get over a hill. And it started with, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And it eventually, turned into, I know I can, I know I can. And that's what got the engineer to the hill. There's a beautiful children's book about a positive mindset. But the statements that define who you are have to be authentic. Yeah. And that's why I go to painstaking levels in the book to make sure you really understand the truth that you've really never made a mistake in your life. You have had a sequence of learning experiences. And these learning experiences has helped you get to where you are today so that you could receive more understanding to get to where you want to be tomorrow.
Yeah, no, and you use very kind words. I guess because for me, what always works is like tough love. I'm always pushing myself. And I remember, I was speaking of sports, we're going to talk about it because I know you work with a lot of athletes. I love sports. Love. I grew up watching sports with my dad. He didn't have a son, What my idols was Kobe Bryant. I was always glued to everything he said. I always looked up to him as a mentor. I thought he was fantastic. And I remember he always used to say that, like, nobody's going to excel in life if you keep making excuses. Like instead, I remember there's like a really famous quote that I don't remember what the exact quote was, but like he would literally go to the basketball court and shoot 4 hours, 5 hours of hoops, because he was like, it's the only way I'm going to be better at this specific thing that I'm trying to do. Instead of sitting there making excuses that other guys shoot better than me, he would take him to the basketball court and do it over and over and over again. So that stuck in my mind, like, there is no point in making excuses. Right. Like you said, we don't make mistakes, and which I kind of agree. I think even if we do make mistakes, we should learn from it, right? But still, you cannot just sit there and whatever is going on in your life, use it as an excuse if you really want to change things. Do you agree?
I completely agree. And I think Kobe's a wonderful example. The tapes of him talking about positive mind and what drove him. I think the whole key to the Kobe example is the reason he spent so many hours and did it was because from a big picture, a macro picture, he never doubted the outcome. Yeah. And I think, so if we take an example of someone looking for love who's had some terrible, unfortunate relationships and they're scared, they feel if they take action, it's going to cause more pain and suffering. And so they don't even take the action, even though deep in their heart, they want that love. They want that intimacy. They want that connection. So what I encourage readers to do is open up to, no matter what has happened in the past, that a completely new experience can be yours, that you can experience love, that sits on that spectrum of possibility out there as much as anything else. And the needle of probability towards it will lean towards it the more you feel worthy of it. So if you can just see that the outcome, when you put the conditions together, is not in doubt, that can help people take a step when they've been afraid of having more pain because they went out there, put themselves out there and got used or abused or disrespected again. And instead, it's like, no, I'm putting a signal out that I respect and love who I am. Nobody who's coming to disrespect you is going to enter that space anymore. Someone who respects themselves has a higher chance now of entering that space where you can find a matching love for what you want to experience now. And you can only plead so much, but I know there's so many people that have a vision of the love that they want to experience, the connection, the intimacy. I am telling you, as I sit here and have worked with hundreds of people, that reality is possible for you. Take the first step on your own self-work and your own self-reflection. Learn to love and respect who you are, and then go out with that energy and watch the difference in what starts to show up.
Oh my God, 1,000,000%. And I get messages from especially women, which is sad, from all over the world. women that got their hearts broken, that were in a bad marriage and everything. They're like, all men are pigs. I'm never going to let anybody break my heart again. This is bullshit. I never want to go through this again. They kind of love, and it breaks my heart because I'm a huge believer in love. And I use me as an example. I was in the most horrible abusive marriage for 15 years.
Wow.
My husband would call me every name in the book. He was very verbally abusive, sometimes physically abusive. And I still believe in love because I think if you give up, the bad people win, so to speak.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so to speak. Yeah, exactly. That's a way of saying it.
Like nobody else is going to love me because like, okay, congratulations. Then whoever did you wrong, they were great at it.
No, it's very true.
Making money. Like if you're completely broke, they're like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? Every job sucks. No. Okay, congratulations. You let, the rest of the world win whatever it is that they did bad to you, So to me, that's a good mindset that keeps me going and never giving up on finding love.
Exactly. I say in the book, any thought that causes limitation, suffering, self-deprecation is a lie or stems from a lie. And that includes beliefs in what is not possible. Like, I'll never find love. I'll never be wealthy. That's not true. Nobody knows the future. It is an unwritten book. In the next moment, everything can change. But you have to have the door cracked on that possibility, or else you will confirm the negativity. And both of us, I think, are saying the same thing. It's not that we don't have empathy. It's that we so badly want to help you out of the space that you're in, to show you there is another world waiting to be experienced. Sometimes it'll happen fast. Sometimes it'll take the conditions coming together, and life will have to test you on your patience and on your faith in a divine universe that's here to serve you. And everybody's path is different. Everybody's trials and tribulations are different, but the same creative power rests in each one of us. I mean, Nelson Mandela spent how many years in prison, and wrote some beautiful work and poetry, where he kept his mind on the positive outcomes, on what could change. And I mean, that's one of the great examples in the world of someone who came out of that and became president, changed a nation. It's just, so we can look at large examples in the world, or we can look at everyday experiences. But one thing I will not let people get away with, at least not while I'm on this, while we're talking, is this idea that the past has to be the future. The future is unwritten.
I'm living proof of it, and I completely agree. And it's the major reason why I do the podcast, is because I want people to believe whatever it is you're going through in your life, it's within you to make the necessary changes. Now, I want to talk, because I know you work with a lot of high-performing people. Like, you work with professional athletes, you work with CEOs of companies. So interesting. That's my curiosity. Do you feel that there are some people that, I don't know if they're born like that, or something about their mindset, that they're just programmed to just perform better in life in general, like be more successful, be wealthier, be just better at what they do? Or, I don't know, everybody's the same, or is it training? What is it?
So it is a insatiable passion for what they're doing, combined with an insatiable focus on making sure every condition is right to make them the best. And it's an unbelievable level of persistence that every time they get knocked down, it only makes them stronger. Whereas most people, 99.9% of people, when they get knocked down, they let them affect them, and it becomes part of their story, where it becomes even harder to get to where they want to go. Professional athletes or CEOs at the top level that are accomplishing stuff in business, they only see what is possible and that they're going to get there. Not that they don't go through a lot of stuff, but their will and their level of optimism is unrelenting. So that is what's special about those individuals. They're just outwilling and out positivity of mind, out energetically, outwilling other people with their fight, their determination, and their willingness to learn what is missing in my game, in my ability to run a company, that I need to change in order to make it work.
You just used such a powerful word. By the way, you're great at you. Maybe that should be the title of your next book. Passion. passion. And I think this is so important because I'm a firm believer if you are working on something that you're passionate about, very, very likely your results are going to be much better than if you just maybe want it or not sure if you want it. I think anything in life, if you put passion in it, it's more likely that you're going to be really good at it.
Yeah, no question. So the next question is, what unlocks that passion
That's
in people?
a very good question.
What gives them that energy?
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. When they have a limited mindset, passion doesn't even get close to the surface because it's never even given the light of day, because they don't believe they can experience the joy that comes from that passion. So to unlock the passion that's waiting in every soul to come out, you have to see your worth. You have to see your ability. You have to see that there isn't anybody that's more worthy on this planet of what you want to experience than you, of what you want to experience. And if you are willing to go down the road to put the conditions together, you will get there, or you will learn what's missing to get closer to it and closer to it. And you'll realize so much about your capabilities. But that's what will unleash passion. And a lot of times in this work, in sort of releasing the soul of all these negative ideas and limitations, this new passion comes up that was never there. They're like, wow, where's that been all my life? And it's been stuffed down because they think they had to be somebody else to survive in the world, not their real authentic self.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then so you have to give yourself permission to allow what you love to come out.
Because I feel there are a lot of people out there, and I know a lot of them. I'm not going to name names. People very close to me. They're like making a living, right? They have a 9-to-5 job, whatever. Life gets in the way, a lot of problems.
Yep.
And they kind of leave their passions behind. They're literally just trying to survive. I feel a lot of people don't even believe in themselves anymore, like we were saying at the beginning. But maybe, let's say, whatever, you're a waiter, but you're a great singer. And then you're like, oh, this is too much work. I'm never going to be a singer. Whatever it is that you love to do, or like write a book, whatever. They just kind of leave it on the back burner. Is there a way to remind people like that? How do you ignite that back?
Yeah. What I just heard in my head, my mom always used to say to me when I was younger, where there's a will, there's a way. And this is all empathy for people that are trying to survive. They have a few jobs. They don't have a lot of time. But when you are passionate about something and focused, you find a way, and I'm going to use the word to make the sacrifices, to make the changes that are necessary if you want to accomplish something. And, knowing so many of these top athletes, the amount of sacrifice that they've made that people don't see because they only see the end product on the television when the lights are on. But what they do to miss family events, relationships, whatever it is, all the sacrifice that goes into trying to be the best in the world. So there are certain things that you have to do, but it depends on how badly you want it. It is there for you, but everybody has a different path on what they have to do. But sometimes just knowing that it can happen is enough to drive them to go, okay, I'm going for it. I'm going to take the steps. I'm going to work towards it. See what happens.
And unfortunately, most people see the steps and they think it's too much work. I don't want to do it. I don't want to.
Right.
Right. Unfortunately, I think that's why most people die frustrated, because they want to do something, but they're just not willing to put the work in whatever it is that they want to do.
Yeah. Or they feel that energy will go without a reward, and they have an expectation that's going to get disappointed again. And again, I'm going to say this, you don't know what's going to happen next, and especially with a new mindset, but you have to be willing to do it because you love the idea of the journey of getting there. Then you'll be surprised by the result. But if you keep putting expectations on the universe, the one thing the universe doesn't like is having expectations put on it. It always tends to show us the opposite when we do that. But when we're open to any possibility, the universe respects that. And it says, okay, now you're ready to receive what you want. But it doesn't like pressure. Pressure to the universe equals time. Time is suffering.
Oh my God, I love that. And I think, tell me if you agree or not, in general, people that are just driven, like, I want to make money. I want to make money. I want to make so much money, as opposed to somebody, like you said, that is actually going to enjoy the journey. Let's say an athlete They want to be the best basketball player, the best baseball player, whatever it is, because they're so madly in love with the sport. Even podcasters or people that write a book, you're not thinking about like, oh, if I'm in the New York bestseller list, I'm going to make an X amount. I certainly, when I started the podcast, I wasn't thinking about making a dime. I was literally venting and hoping like, if I can get one woman out there in the world to get out of an abusive relationship or start her life over, I feel like I did my job.
Wow.
I feel if we are moved by our passion and what we can give back, like you just nailed it, we're moved by the journey, the results are insanely better than people that are just every single day focused on the dollar signs.
Exactly. I never wrote one word of my book for any sort of monetary. It was all just to serve humanity with this insight and this wisdom in the best way that I could, to serve this grace and this insight. And I feel humbled to be able to do it every single day. I think it's this idea that you have to love what you do. You know, Michael Jordan he just wanted to be the greatest player that ever lived, to dominate and to win. The money was all secondary to him. And that's why it came in buckets, you know, because it was only about being the best he could be. And the same goes for so many other great athletes of our time. It depends on, you know, what's driving you and what you want. But you're right. It's the passion to do what you love and to do it well, and it will find its way. But the money or the expectations has to be secondary to the passion for it to be really have some true power in it.
I completely agree. Before we run out of time, I want to ask about a video, and I don't mean to quote you exactly, but I saw a video on your Instagram that caught my attention because I think you were on a different podcast and you were talking about at the end of the day, something like that. Most of us, whatever we're going through, we're doing the best we can. Like everybody's just doing the best they can. I'm from the perception that very few people are doing the best they can.
So let me clarify.
Everybody, like even like, okay, me, I know I push myself every single day. I'm like, are you doing that? Because I remember the Maya Angelou phrase that I love. She said, every day, do the best you can. And when you get there, do better.
Yeah.
Every single day, I posted that on my LinkedIn. And every single day, I'm like, Catherine, did you really do the best you can? And I'm like, no, you can do A, B, C, da, da. But even looking at other people out there, I'm like, come on, let's be honest with each other. We are not all doing the best you can. Do you really feel that way?
So let me clarify what that meant. To be able, most people, when they look at what they've done, they feel bad. They feel regret and shame and guilt, which are poisons to the mind. And so the idea is to look back and say, look, if you could have done better in that past moment, you would have. That's the self-evident truth. You have to accept that is who you were, but it's not who you have the potential to be. That allows more love to flow, more acceptance, more respect. And then they can be a new version of themselves. So while everybody has done the best they can up to this moment, in the next moment, there's the opportunity to be the next version of yourself. But it's important that comes across without any shame, without any regret or feeling bad. And so that's why it was worded that way, that everybody does the best they can in each moment. But that doesn't mean the next moment, the next day, and the next week, there is an endless amount more potential in you to change.
I love that, because I feel if you really want to feel invincible, you have to keep pushing yourself and keep questioning, like, can I get better at this? Can I get better at that? Whatever it is, an area of your life that you want to improve, you're not going to feel invincible or be the best at your game if you just sit there like, and I honestly, that's one of the phrases that I really, really, really dislike. Even when people that work for me, they're like, oh, I'm doing the best I can. I'm like, no, you're not. I know you have so much more potential.
No, it's not. Yeah, right.
And sometimes they get mad at me. I said that to me just a few days ago to somebody that I love and adore. And I know she has 10 million times a bigger potential and she's selling herself short. And I left her this tough love message like, you can do so much better. And she got so upset at me, like, because I said, no, you're not doing the best you can. Don't tell me that. You can do so much better.
Right. She may have done the best she can up to this moment, but the potential is for you to do so much better. And that's what I think the Invincible Mind is about. It's about seeing that nothing can stop you from continuing to expand what you can create and what you can experience for yourself in this incredibly divine universe that is here to serve you in your new creative desires and your new mindset. I have a quote that opens the book and that I open every speech and talk with. And it says this: if you knew how powerful you really are, you would never stop smiling.
Oh my God, I love that so much. You are so inspiring. I am so glad the universe connected us. Congratulations.
Me too.
Fantastic read. Where can people find it?
Thank you so much for having me on, Kat. I appreciate everything that you do. The book is at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, on my website, howardfalco.com. You can find information. And of course, on my Instagram, in my bio, there's all the information on my book, Invincible.
Yeah, so if you guys are listening to the audio episode, the link to his website is here. If you are watching the episode on YouTube, Kat on the Loose Show, the link is on the digital episode. But go read it. Go feel invincible. I think we all have a chance in terms of turning our lives around and making our dreams come true. And quick question. You do one-on-ones, right, Howard? If somebody's listening, like, I want to, not everybody can afford it. I understand. That's why you have the free resource with like a book. Hopefully everybody can get their hands on that. But if somebody wants to do one-on-one, you offer that as well, correct?
Absolutely. They can call and set up an appointment to do a Zoom or a call on one-on-one on themselves. And I will also accommodate anybody who is income sensitive. So I never turn anybody away from this work who really wants it.
I love that. Thank you so much. I am so grateful for having you here. Congratulations. And guys, go get it, right, Howard? Go be. I feel invincible today.
That's awesome.
Thanks to you. Thank you so much, guys. Be safe out there, and I'll see you very soon.